For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. Remember, they are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Good morning, fellow thought criminals. Welcome to Insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans with another great program for you. Hey, how's it going, Derrick?
It's going great, and Mike looks so much better today, guys. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. So obviously we got Annie with us today. Mike is out of the country, going on another trip to bring some exclusive breaking news from around the world back to the show. So hopefully him and the crew hopefully they have a safe trip over there. As always, guys, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. If you're watching live, hop in the comments. Me and Annie both read the comments. It's not just me now. And we'll do our very best to give you guys shout-outs, kind of like this. We got Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat. We've got FG and Sean over here in the Getter chat. And then in the X chat, I just now loaded it up because I forgot to do so. So if you're already in there, hop back in, and I'll give you a shout-out. And then I wanted to say... Sean says that Annie looks better than Mike, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, I am Michael Lauber today. I identify as Michael Lauber, and it costs a lot to go from that look to this look. This hair on its own, Derrick, very expensive. Just kidding.
Absolutely. Mike has transitioned.
He has. And yes, I agree. I hope the whole team is having very safe travels. We did not deport Michael. I promise you. It was by
where are they at again, Annie? What country are they going to? I forgot.
Romania.
Romania.
Yeah, they are at Romania. And actually, they're going to have a bunch of amazing exclusive interviews that it's going to be streaming on X American News next couple of days. So you all want to stay tuned. We're going to have some of them over the weekend, actually, Derrick. It's going to be pretty
awesome.
Good. Yes.
Absolutely.
It's going to be great. Okay, should we... Oh, before we dive in, quick note. Insurrection is always streaming on my Facebook page as well. But Derrick won't see those comments, but I'll make sure to catch your Facebook comments. And then we're going to read them. Derrick, do have some really funny comments on my Facebook as well. So we're going to have fun with that. But let's dive in. I have always mispronounced her name, and now I see I did it right. Jasmine Crockett, that I used to call Crooked, because in Farsi, O is O. So she has turned out to be a real crooked, hasn't she?
She is a crook, and you said it right the first time. So I actually prefer that. I think we should go with Crooked, Jasmine Crooked, and yeah, I mean this lady, it's unbelievable. And what do you got for us here, Annie? I think we covered a little bit yesterday, but I think we need to rehash this again.
We have a video that was published by Laura Loomer of this crooked, crazy woman physically attacking a journalist. Here we go. Let me see if I can get it on. Nope, I can't get it on the screen. How's that? There we go.
Hello, Congresswoman.
Horse manure. Well, that sounds like fun.
Wait, Congresswoman Crockett.
But it sounds...
Congresswoman Crockett, you were recently on a Tesla takedown call calling for violence on the 29th. Would you like to clarify your comments?
As you can see.
Congresswoman,
No,
will you
it's
condone
sensitive.
will you condemn violence at the test?
And you want to know what's funny, Annie? So I'm glad you brought that up here today. So you guys saw what happened there, and then that was the day before yesterday, and then yesterday, Jasmine Crockett was walking around the halls of the Capitol with a police escort, and they were cutting off journalists, not allowing journalists to come and ask her questions. And so she is now turning around and twisting this, attempting to play the victim here and act as if she was the one that was assaulted and as if she needs, a police escort, if you will. So now our tax dollars, so she assaults a journalist, and now our tax dollars are paying for her to have a police escort around the building so that she can play victim and act as if she's the one that was attacked. I thought that was absolutely unbelievable.
Not only it's unbelievable, here's another thing. I remember many years ago, well, to be exact, it was 2018. I was very embarrassed when Rashida Tlaib walked into the floor and started dropping the F-bomb about Trump and impeaching Trump. Then moved forward, I started hearing that other crazy one, the bald one, Presley. I started hearing her dropping F-bomb and S-bomb and all sort of, disrespect. Then now we have this crooked who is not only foul-mouthing the entire floor, physically attacking journalists, and did you notice how she is absolutely ignoring the existence of this guy? Like, if it was Marjorie Taylor Greene or Boobert, oh gosh, it would be plastered all over media as to how disrespectful they are, and they work for us and they should acknowledge us. But Crooked can do it; nobody blinks.
Well, that's a perfect example and or a comparison here. So the same day that Jasmine Crockett did that to Charles Downs, the journalist, and it physically attacked him, Marjorie Taylor Greene had told, I should have sent you the video, maybe we can get it for tomorrow. Marjorie Taylor Greene told a reporter from Europe, a fake news reporter, was asking a question, and Marjorie said, "Oh, hold up! Like, what country are you from?" And she said, "Europe." She said, "I don't care. Why don't you go back and worry about your own country, securing your own border? Like, I'm not taking questions from you. I want to talk to American journalists." The media, the mainstream media, I should say, is kind of blowing that up and saying all these terrible things about Marjorie Taylor Greene because of that's her stance on that. But they've said nothing about Jasmine Crockett physically assaulting a journalist here in the halls of Capitol. So they are okay with Jasmine Crockett assaulting someone, but they're not okay with Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, "I prefer to speak with American journalists about American policies and politics." So the mainstream media is an absolute joke, and which we already knew that, but I mean they just continue to prove that time and time again.
And the fun, I guess I agree with what Marjorie Taylor Greene says. Remember, these representatives are here to represent us. So they should answer our question. They should represent us. They should prioritize us. So what she said should have been rewarded, basically, instead of turned into some sort of weapon against her.
I would agree 100%. And then Dan Dreyer over here in the Rumble chat, he said he believes she had assault charges filed against her. She did. Charles Downs actually filed the paperwork to file assault charges against Jasmine Crockett. Now, whether the D.C. police does anything about it, I doubt it, but he did file the charges. He did have, she did actually break the skin. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that he was gushing of blood or whatever, but he had scratch marks on his hand from those raptor claws of hers as she reached out and grabbed that and definitely broke the skin on his hand there. I mean, so there's no denying that, this was assault. He was not impeding her either. It's not as if she was attempting to get into her office or attempting to get into an elevator or walk down the halls of Congress, and he was standing in front of her and not allowing her to move freely through the building. He was to the side. She literally reached to the side out of her way to do that to him. This is 100% assault. And if Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, any conservative person would have done this, you better believe that it would be one of the biggest news stories out there with the mainstream media. And I would imagine that the police would probably take this a lot more serious as well. I doubt anything's done about it, considering that the following day the police were then escorting her around the building and preventing journalists from from coming up to her and asking questions, which is a First Amendment protected right, free speech, to ask questions of your elected representatives.
Yes, and if I could add, there's another charge that she should be facing, which is property damage. There is such a crime as damaging somebody's property, including the camera or the phone or the microphone of a journalist. And this man is a real journalist with a press pass. So that's one crime. Secondly, even if there was no bruises, nothing. When it comes to physical assault, just a push is considered an assault. Because I saw the picture and I saw some people like, oh, you got a boo-boo. Oh, that's so... It doesn't matter. If it could have been bleeding, it could have been nothing there. The gesture, the physical movement towards him is considered physical assault. So people really need to kind of sort of get over this hypocrisy and double standard. Honestly, if this was Marjorie Taylor Greene or Boebert or anyone else, I would say the same thing, by the way, as Derrick.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give some shout outs here in the audience here. We got Shelly P, who says Crooked needs to be perp walked and expelled because Texas deserves better. We got Kristen over here who agrees and said the same thing yesterday about Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. We got Thaddeus in the chat. We've got West Virginia Knothawk, my fellow mountaineer, says Crooked needs to be reined in. And then we've got a special guest in the chat. We've got somebody who says Ratchet Hood Rat Jasmine Crockett attacks a journalist and no one in the dinosaur media bats an eye. And that comes from our Mike Lauber, who is watching the show right now. So shout out to Mike over here in the chat. Appreciate you, man. I hope you guys are safe over there. And we're holding it down here on the show. But yeah, I mean, this is unbelievable. And Dan Dreyer says that she needs to be censured. And I agree with that as well, for not just the attack on a journalist. Some of the things she said, calling Governor Abbott Hot Wheels, making those comments, cussing in the, the official committee meetings and such. And look, it's one thing if for every now and then if somebody, gets upset, gets emotional, and they let a word slip here and there, that's going to happen. I get it. We're all humans, but she's kind of making this more of a normal, common theme for her to like cuss every single time she is speaking during these meetings. And that's just not the way that these procedurals are supposed to go. That's not the way, the etiquette, if you will, of these proceedings are supposed to be handled and conducted. And, we're supposed to be above that. And like I said, people, obviously things happen from time to time, but when you're just casually or forcing yourself to drop cuss words in there, that's beneath the office as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. And here's the funny thing, Derrick, you know better than I do. As let's call us journalists, reporters, whatever, the very first rule we're given is the moment you go on air, on camera, watch the mouth. Keep it clean. Do not use foul language, all of that. For broadcasting, we have such a standard. Are you telling me they lifted that standard for officials of the government? That's impossible. And if anybody did, they need to be held accountable, because these people, their hearings, their videos, it doesn't just go on, a couple of homes in America. It goes across the world. They are representing. Do we really want people to say, oh, these Americans, they're a bunch of, sailor mouth, ghetto, no. Again, I'm not going to sit here, Derrick, and claim that I have the cleanest mouth ever. It does happen for me to drop a couple of F words, but I do it in private because I respect my audience. I respect my friends. I respect my fellow Americans. Telling me this woman, well, no, she doesn't. Never mind that question. That was a bad question.
Well, the thing is, so like there's certain things that they have in place to keep etiquette in these meetings, and so like, for instance, if you pay attention, they never call each other by the first name. So like if me and you were in Congress, even though we're really good friends, I would not call you Annie. I would say the congresswoman from wherever, or my colleague from Ohio, whatever. That's what they said. They don't ever use their first name. They might say Congresswoman, Cyrus or whatever, but they even when they're friends, they don't do that. And that's to keep things from getting too personal in there. And so if you are now going to start, referring to someone in these meetings and cursing and at them, then that's going to start turning into petty personal attacks. And I don't want the use of time that's supposed to be used for what shaping the future of America, if you will, to be wasted on the petty middle school drama of they called me a name sort of thing. They need to rein her in before it starts spreading to other members of Congress. So I'm gonna tell you right now, she's going to look at Marjorie Taylor Greene at one point and drop a cuss word or Nancy Mace or somebody, and it's going to escalate very quickly, and we don't want that to happen as far as I'm concerned. So really quick, got a shout out to Austin the Coal Cracker over here in the X chat and Kelly Song in the Rumble chat. We really appreciate you guys. Oh, and we got a Sal Call, Southern California, I'm assuming. I don't know. Wait, I don't know. Sal Call. Let me know what that stands for, man, or how to say that. I'd love to give you a proper shout out over here in the Getter chat. Appreciate you for tuning in as well.
Okay, talking about weaponizing and twisting. The signal situation is still a crisis. Only in DC, though, by the way, because I don't think it's a crisis. But apparently Tulsi Gabbard has testified that Signal app is pre-installed on government devices. It wasn't that, what's his name? Higgins. Did I say his name right? Higgins? Hegseth. There you go. It's not like he personally chose to have this app without authorization and then things went south. It's pre-installed. Approved by government.
It's been officially approved as communication. Absolutely has. And, I'm trying to remember who it was yesterday in the chat. Had really educated me partly on it that, the Signal app is going to work in places where when these officials are traveling all across the world and there's poor signal, they might not have enough internet or bandwidth to hop in on a laptop and fire it up and do some of those things, but they can get something out via Signal, and so they're able to do that, and this has once again been approved means to communicate with declassified or unclassified information. I do think that obviously there's something that happened here. We don't know. I think I know there's going to be an investigation into this. Elon Musk has already said that the Trump administration can use all of the tools and resources he has at his disposal to kind of see what happened and how this journalist got added to the group, because Mike Walls says he has no idea he created the group. He's not friends with this person, does not have this person as a contact in their phone. So it's not like he accidentally clicked the wrong name or the wrong thing and added them that way. So we're not sure exactly how they got added to that, but Elon Musk has offered up his tech services and everything to go in and actually investigate this. And there's a lot more coming out about this whole Signal situation as well that we'll get to in a little bit. But the media is blowing this way out of proportion right now, and I'll continue to stand by the fact that the journalist from the Atlantic, Goldberg, should have put his country before his hatred of President Trump. Like if he wanted to wait a few months and then come out with this and say this happened when there was not going to put anybody in danger and do it, and I would say, okay, like that's your job as a journalist. You have a right to do that, obviously. But the fact that he brought this out now while this is still kind of ongoing, like you're putting our troops in danger just so that you can score points against President Trump. And that's pretty sad to me that he would do something like that.
Well, it's a bit of a... I know this is ridiculous when I say it, but to expect anyone out there in any position to put their country above their hatred for Trump at this point is too much to ask. They have proven. Remember his address to Congress? They couldn't even, for a split second, get over their hatred for Trump to cheer a 13-year-old boy, DJ Daniel. Like, we can't ask that anymore, Derek. They have proven that the whole life of them revolves around their hatred for President Trump.
Absolutely. And Sal Call is corrected me and said it's half their name and half the hubby's name. So shout out to both of you then for Sal Call there in the chat there, and says Sal Call says that Goldberg sat on it for 9 days. Okay, I didn't really know exactly that either. But my thing is, it feels like if they are trying to push this narrative that this was sensitive information I don't believe that it was as sensitive as they're making it. Obviously, it was pretty sensitive conversation. We got to be honest about that. But I think they're blowing it out of proportion. But if they're trying to push this out there as you know, as to what it is, then I believe they should have held that information until all of this these attacks and plans or whatever had been played out before they did that. And so I think it's hard for the Atlantic to kind of have their cake and eat it too. It's hard for them to say that these were the most sensitive classified information and then also claim that they were not putting any of our troops at risk by releasing it. So I think it's hard for them to try to have it both ways. And then, you know, Dan Dreyer over here, good point. It's disgusting that they're calling for Pete's resignation. I would have to agree with that. I mean, and I don't really know why Pete should resign over this. I mean, he didn't create the group. NSA Mike Waltz says publicly that he created the group and that he's the one that put all this together and doesn't know how the person got in there. So, which we can discuss that here in a little bit after we got a break coming up here soon, and we can discuss maybe the how this journalist got added in there maybe sometime after that or something.
Definitely. You're right. Let's go ahead and take our ad break, and then we do have a few more stories about the signal crisis. Okay, don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Welcome back to Insurrection. I am still Michael Lauber. It is what it is. Deal with it. And one of the best ways to support Ex America News and Insurrection is to support our sponsors. Go to mypillow.com or mystore.com. Use promo code Insurrection. You could get up to 80% discount. Also, if you spend more than $100, you get 2 standard MyPillows for free. I don't think there's such a thing as having enough MyPillows. Here's another way to support the network, by the way, is you see a small QR code on the bottom of this screen next to the lower third. All you need to do is use your phone to scan it, put in your email address, and sign up for free to our email list so we can stay in touch with you regardless of cyber attacks, websites down, platforms deplatforming. No matter what happens, we get to stay in touch with you.
Absolutely. And thank you guys once again. We appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. And honestly, we really do. We're going to continue with the previous conversation here. You got another kind of thing ties in with this, I believe, Annie. Is that correct? Something?
Yes, you
NPR?
actually hinted at it, that Mike Waltz actually now is hinting at the point that this was a intentional sabotage. The adding of this person into the chat. He was on Fox News last night, and he flat out says, this is no coincidence, this was a sabotage. We need to find out who, exactly what you said, who added this person into the chat.
Absolutely. And like I said, so Elon Musk is going to be investigating this. Well, not Elon Musk, I guess himself, but his team, his tech services are going to be investigating this. And tying in with that, something that came out, I believe just this morning or maybe late last night. So you guys probably saw some of the stuff with NPR and their liberal CEO. She first of all, we found out that the NPR itself has 85 board members, and all 85 of them, or 87, are all registered Democrats on a single Republican on the board that we pay our tax dollars to. And I say that to say this: the CEO of NPR, the raging left-wing extremist, Signal, has 5 board members, and this liberal left-wing extremist CEO of NPR just happens to be one of the board members of Signal. And now I'm not saying that this for sure means anything, but I believe that, you know, there's some smoke here at the very least. There needs to be some more investigation into that. I find it very ironic that NPR, the CEO of NPR, who obviously hates the Trump administration, wanting to defund them and everything, is also on the board of Signal, and then this happens and nobody knows exactly how the person was added into the chat. So I find that pretty interesting and something that at the very least should be looked into.
Agreed, but I will also agree with my favorite person in the administration, the one and only Kash Patel. I have a crush on Kash Patel. I have a crush on him anyways. He did shut down the idea of FBI investigating into the leak. And I agree. Listen, FBI has way more. I'm not saying this is not important, Derek. I'm not saying that. But for FBI to assign a task force to investigate this, they have way more important things to investigate and way more cleanup to do. As you said, apparently Elon Musk is providing tools and manpower, and there are other departments. Honestly, I think they can just do it on their own. But I like the fact that Kash is not getting distracted and it's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not putting effort, money into that.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. I mean, look, they already know a lot of this information. They probably know a lot more than they're saying publicly in terms of this. And who knows? For the record, it could have been some staffer. You know what I mean? It could have been some staffer who just, you know, after Mike Walls created the group, or maybe he did. Maybe he's just taking the fall for one of his people. You know, and actually, I wasn't a fan of Mike Walls beforehand, and I'll actually read some of the reasons why over here in the chat. And once again, I love reading you guys' comments in here. Sal Call says Waltz is a bit of a concern over the years. He had made donations to Cheney and Jeb Bush, et cetera, and never made any to and Romney as well, but never made any donations to Trump. And so it's possible, you know, but if he's willing to fall on the sword, if you will, and take the heat for a staffer of his, then you know, I'd have a little bit of respect for him on that. And so it's very possible that it was just some low-level staffer who they were, you know, adding people to the group there and fat-fingered and accidentally added that, or it could have been done intentionally and on purpose or whatever. And we'll probably never know the truth if we're being honest. But, you know, at the same time, it's really being, once again, blown out of proportion. The media cannot stop talking about this. This is like a dog with a bone for the next little bit with the media here.
Yeah, and the main question is, what are they trying to distract us from? Austin on X chat, let me know if this is better. They're saying that my volume was low, apparently. So I'm trying to push the microphone away because sometimes I can be like a banshee. And one more comment that I like to address from X, WV Nighthawk. I don't know who's more savage here lately, Kash or Dan. Definitely Kash. Dan Bongino is rocking it, but Kash Patel, their whole body language, the demeanor, it's just like he is definitely the guy. I don't know.
I agree, and I'll say this. I think that Dan, I think that we've all watched Dan Bongino long enough to know that he is a true man of integrity. He's also a man who I believe believes in like the chain of command and stuff, if you will. He's the deputy director. He's like the vice president of the FBI, if you will. And I think that Dan doesn't want to even attempt to try to take away from Kash, if you will. You know, kind of like J.D. Vance is always building up President Trump as the VP is supposed to do, and always, you know, referring back to them and trying to. I think that Dan is doing the same thing here, and I think that says a lot about his character, which we already knew he had. You know, very, very high character. I've met him in person multiple times. You know, I met him at Mar-a-Lago, and you know, he's one of the most down-to-earth, most humble, genuine people I've ever met who has the platform that he has, and the, you know, the all the things that he has to be as down to earth as he is. And I'll tell you, I was so excited that he was you know, given the opportunity to do that. And you know, he made some real sacrifices, that he gave up a lot of stuff to go get that position as deputy director. He's the true definition of a modern patriot who, you know, our founding fathers are patriots. They sacrificed immensely personal wealth, you know, in addition to everything else to build this country. And Dan Bongino is right now sacrificing personal wealth to go serve as the deputy director of the FBI. And I think that says a lot about him.
Yes, and I will not deny the comment from X. Aynaz is biased, crushing. Yes, I already admitted I have a crush, so yes, I am biased. Anybody, even Trump versus Cash, we're going with Cash for me. That's just the way it is. Talking about winning, genuinely winning, the real ones. This was put out by Pam Bundy this morning. Amazing. Successful operation, and I think it's the top leader of MS-13 that was arrested. That feels darn good, Derek.
It does.
It so good.
Arrested in Virginia, and as Caroline Levitt and some others have said this morning, this is what happens when you allow the enforcement officers to be enforcement officers. When you actually put these people to do their real job, which is to get rid of these terrorists in our country, real terrorists, as opposed to labeling grandmothers who prayed at the Capitol on January 6th as a terrorist, or a parent who spoke out at the school board meeting about what's going on in their schools as a terrorist. People praying at abortion clinics as terrorists. If now that they're putting their attention on the actual real terrorists, we are seeing a lot of action, and this is huge. I mean, this is not just a regular MS-13 member of some sort. I mean, think about that for a second, though, guys. I mean, the actual top leader of the MS-13 gang was here in the United States of America. I mean, think about that. It's absolutely amazing when you think about it. Just wandering around, hanging out here in America. They've caught him. They're going to deport him. I love what our administration is doing right now. I know this is not something that we're necessarily covering, but it ties in with it. Kristi Noem yesterday put out that video, and maybe we'll have it for the show tomorrow, where she is in the prison in El Salvador, standing there, and you can see the inmates behind her behind bars, and she gives a little video press conference telling people, if you don't deport on your own, this is where you're headed, is right here. You're going to join these guys. I thought it was one of the most based and awesome announcements I've ever seen in my entire life. It was amazing.
Yes, and everything you said, plus this is what happens when you actually allow an administration to be put together by an individual who is not perfect, has his own flaws, but at the end of the day has proven to put Americans first. He doesn't care about who says what about him, Derek. He's here to fix. And I think on the thumbnail I have something like Law and Order Restored. This is how you do it. Nobody can bully him. He's not afraid of anyone. Because let's admit it, I feel like Biden administration, the whole 4 years, half of what they did as far as the disaster and destroying our country was out of their fear from their puppeteers. Trump doesn't have a puppeteer because he's not a puppet.
No, you're correct. Absolutely. I want to give a quick shout out to Brent over here watching from the 51st state. Appreciate you for tuning in from the great state of Canada. Yeah, I mean, you're exactly correct. There's a huge difference in everything of this presidential term of President Trump versus the first one. Part of that I think is he doesn't have to worry about running for re-election. He can kind of let his hair down and have fun. And even the people closest to him have Dan Scavino, who was it? I can't remember. Somebody had just interviewed with Laura Trump over the weekend, where they were talking a little bit about that, and they were just talking about how much more fun he's having this time, And I think there's a lot that goes into that. Number one, I think the pressure of not having to worry about running for re-election. I think that after everything he's went through with all the lawfare, of coming after him, they literally tried to assassinate him multiple times. And I think that gives you a whole new outlook and perspective on life. I know that, I can speak a little bit on that, from personal experiences, is, you try to be the bigger person and be good to these and respectful to these people. You're going to hold your line and hold your values, but you try to be respectful. And they, after they attack you so much, you get to the point that, like, I no longer even care what these people think. Like, I don't care anymore. And I think that Trump is at that point where it's like, I'm going to do what's best for the country. And I don't really care if anybody likes me or not, because let's just face it, President Trump could save drowning puppies out of the ocean and then news headlines the following day would say that President Trump was starving sharks. That's what it would say. It would not. He could save puppies from drowning, and they would say he was starving the sharks. So it doesn't matter what he does. So he might as well just have fun with it and do what he wants to do, because they're going to attack him regardless. And I think that he has finally accepted that reality.
Yes, and also, I don't know if you caught that. I should have probably grabbed it. I might do it for tomorrow. But I saw a clip from CNN where a CNN, supposedly he's the top guy to do analysis of approval rating and all that stuff. And he literally points out that this is the first time the entire country, mind you, this is coming from CNN, people, the entire country, when they did a poll, 46% of the country are in agreement that the country is on the right path. This was the highest since 2008 or 9, based on his report. Almost majority or half of the country are okay with this new method, which now we hear a lot of complaint, Derek, because, well, there's the legacy media, there's the mainstream media, even some of the alternative media who are afraid to actually come out and say this is a good method because they're worried about being labeled as extremist or radical nationalist, Christian, white nationalist, whatever the term might be. But the point is, average Americans out there are seeing the results and they're so fed up, they don't care how we're getting there, they just want us to get there. And that's what's giving Trump that flexibility to be comfortable to make these calls. And I want to be clear again, there are calls he has made that he shouldn't have made. Like right now we're dealing with the let's all make a deal with Iran situation. But as far as inside the country, our borders, our safety, our economy, taxes, all of that, he is doing the right thing and people are seeing result. Therefore, it's going to become more and more comfortable for him to do it his way, which is awesome.
I would agree 100%. And you know, look, I think he's doing a fantastic job right now in terms of policies and the things that he's pushing in that regard. He's doing exactly what we asked him to do. I loved it. You know, like I said, we got these bleeding heart left-wing extremists who are virtue signaling. At the end of the day, they don't really care about these people either, but they like to virtue signal about it. And sorry, had a little thing in my throat. But at the same time, though, you got President Trump who is basically doesn't care what those people think anymore. And like I said, you got these bleeding heart liberals who are out here and they attack President Trump for every single thing and ask him, did you really vote for this? Heck yeah, I voted for this. I voted for every single thing we're getting right now. Absolutely, I voted for this. That's exact. I mean, and what's funny is they are saying that because they are so out of touch with the rest of the country that they really don't think that people voted for this. Like I think that this is one they keep bringing up, Project 2025. We told you that this is what he was going to do, and he said he wasn't, and now he's doing it. Did you vote for this? Heck yeah, I voted for this. Absolutely. And I think that they are kind of for the first time maybe starting to be forced to accept the reality that the American people want the things that President Trump is doing, because they, like I said, they spent the first few month or so of attacking everything President Trump was doing and asking if people voted for it. Everybody's like, yeah, this is exactly what we voted for. Absolutely. And so they're not saying that as much anymore because it came back to bite them.
It's hard for them to understand we did vote for this because they don't love America. They would never vote for anything that would fix America, make America great again. So they don't get it. Talking about Trump doing great, this one is awesome. So I'm going to try to not butcher the sentence. Trump's election integrity order expected to impact Illinois on matters such as late ballots. Two things I want to say here, and then it's all yours, Derek. Number one, for anybody out there who keeps yapping on, well, he's elected and this is it, this is his last term, he's not going to fix election issues. Well, there you have it. Apparently, he is working on fixing our election issues. Number one. Number two, he is going so deep on some of these issues with some of his orders, Derek. As you know, Illinois is one of those states, Terry Newsom can testify that it's so hard to make any changes federally that would impact the state itself. They have shielded their state with this deep blue thick wall, but his order is actually going to infiltrate or make a dent through that wall, where I know a lot of good American-loving conservatives who have been running for years trying to flip seats, and it was impossible. This might actually finally be the solution to where we can see parts of Illinois coming back to its glorious days, and it did. My journey in America started from Chicago, guys. It wasn't this bad. It wasn't.
Well, same. I spent some time in Chicago back in 2009, 2010, up there training football and everything. So, and it wasn't like this even then, like it is now. And then Thaddeus over here says, so I had to clear my throat. Said Derrick is thirsty and needs some liberal tears. Yes, I do, brother. That's exactly what I need, for sure. And so, yeah, but look, this whole thing with the executive order for election integrity, I don't know why people didn't expect this. I mean, President Trump believes, and I believe as well, actually I know, that they stole the 2020 election from President Trump. He knows this as well. And he knows that this is a matter of national security in terms of cleaning up our elections moving forward. And so, you know, I fully expected this. Here's the thing, though. It's just an executive order. And so a future president can change that as well. That is why right now Republicans have control of the House and the Senate at the federal level. And they had better spend some time to pass election integrity laws while we have the opportunity to do so, to actually codify these things that President Trump is passing on these executive orders. It shouldn't be a long, drawn, hard process to do. It should be pretty simple. My concern, though, are that these rhinos in Congress are pretending to be, you know, the Trump supporters and such, and that they're just going to run out the clock. They're going to, you know, they're going to say that they want to do these things, and they ran out of time, if you will. And I think that's part of the reason you're seeing. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a skeptic, a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if people are aware. The Congress right now, the House, I should say, is over the next month are taking 3 weeks of vacation, and they are doing this while these judges are out here doing, you know, coming after President Trump using a judicial insurrection against the Trump administration, and we are funding that. And they're, you know, Speaker Johnson has threatened to pull funding from them, but dude, you're on vacation right now. Get back to DC. And look, I get it. It's a grind. You signed up for that. And if you don't want to do that, then you shouldn't run for office if you're not willing to make those sacrifices. You got Elon Musk, you got President Trump working around the clock, Kash Patel, all these people are working around the clock while our Congress is turn around and I don't know what they're doing. I guess they're going back home to their country club to sip some tea and send out fundraising letters. I suppose that's what they're doing.
Talk about tea. Or you being thirsty. Why don't you please, let's hear some words from our Rumble sponsor on some good coffee. All yours.
Absolutely, I got you. Yeah, this is from a Rumble sponsor here, and we appreciate them. Weak coffee is for the weak, and at Rumble, weak has never been part of the mission. No fillers, no fraud, and no settling for mediocrity, just like 1775 coffee. It's single origin, small farm, hand-picked, specialty grade coffee that stands for quality, free speech, and calling out BS when it matters. Forget the stale, mass-produced beans roasted just enough to, hide all the flaws. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff. Medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness. And Vitality Mushroom Blend, real energy and lasting focus. No synthetic garbage are in there. For K-Cup pods, whole bean, or fresh ground coffee, either one, you can go to 1775coffee.com. You can use the code STUDIO for 15% off and start your morning with coffee that stands for something. Oh, and by the way, every single dollar spent enters you to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. So once again, guys, if you love coffee, head over to 1775coffee.com. Use the code STUDIO, and you're going to get 15% off of your order, as well as being entered to win $30,000 cash and a Cybertruck. And we appreciate our sponsors. We appreciate you guys as well for sticking with us throughout all of this. And but yeah, I mean, look, our Congress has to codify these laws or these executive orders into law. And if they are not going to pass election integrity laws over the next really year and a half at this point, I think people are thinking 4 years. we got a midterm coming up. We don't know what's going to happen. We got 2 years to get this done. Well, a year and a half now, probably roughly, to get these.
If
Yeah,
I could
please
interrupt
do.
for 1 second, Derek, I strongly believe we know exactly what's going to happen in midterms. We're going to flip whatever is left. The Democrat Party is gone. They don't have leaders. They have so much internal fighting. I strongly believe we're going to have great results on midterm. However, that doesn't mean we're going to have great results in 2028.
Well, and I agree. And what my thing is, I believe if it's a fair election, then yes, we would do extremely well in the midterms. I just don't trust the elections, the machines and all that stuff right now. And so I think that's why it's imperative to. And look, even if I'm wrong, like even if the elections are on the up and up, let's just pretend that all of us who believe the elections are being stolen, that we're completely wrong. Okay, let's just, for sake of argument here, say that we're wrong. And the left is too, because you got Rosie O'Donnell and others who are saying that Trump stole it. So say we're all wrong, the elections are fair. If nothing else, they should do this and secure our elections just as a way of bringing peace of mind and restoring integrity and restoring faith in the process. Because right now, whether it's true or not that the elections are being stolen, the faith in the process has been destroyed among the American people. And I believe it's a matter of national security to restore faith back in the process so that people, on election night, I can say, you know what, I'm not happy that person won, but, I guess I'm in the minority right now of the country and I can accept that and move on. So.
Agreed. Okay, we're up for our last ad break. Let's go do that. And then we got a couple more great stories to cover. We'll be right back.
Well, hello everybody! It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Welcome back.
Annie said she was leaving and she never left. That's awesome. No, honestly, Annie does so much for Ex American News, guys. I mean, while she's filling in for Mike right now, co-hosting this show, and she has her own show on here as well. She also produces I don't know how many shows over here, and does so many other things for the network. And Annie, we really do love and appreciate you. And honestly, even outside of that, I'm honored that we have your exclusive expertise on all things in the Middle East, for instance. I mean, you are literally one of the top experts in the country on all those subjects over there. And so you bring a lot of things to the network, and we really, really appreciate all that you do.
I appreciate that, and I'm very honored to be part of Ex America News. It's a lot of work, yes, but it's very fun to do because we have a very fun and great team of people behind the scene, on air. All of it is fun, and also we're actually making a difference, Derek. I strongly believe that in what we're doing at Ex America News, and this isn't necessarily a plug, but we have such a diverse lineup. We're not becoming an echo chamber. As you said, my own show focusing on Middle East, Islamization, Sharia, and then we have Miriam Shaw with Mission for Freedom, who focuses more on biblical worldview and Christianity and lack thereof. And then, we have the Insurrection. You guys are every morning, you're literally hitting on everything that's happening in the news, in the country, and you're actually very honest about it. So we are very diverse. I enjoy watching what's happening at Ex America News because we're one of the very rare channels that's actually bringing a lot of different point of views, a lot of different angles into worldview, but then at the same time, we're all sticking with our Judeo-Christian values and the American values. So Everybody should jump
Absolutely.
on, guys. Head over to xamericanews.com. xamericanews.com. Simple as that. All of our social media links are there. You can sign up to our free newsletter. You can grab some of my art. The banner is right there. You can watch all the shows either live or archived. You can read about our host. It's a pretty user-friendly website. I'm not saying that because I built it. No, I am saying that because I built it.
Yeah, but honestly, guys, we got a lot going on here. We got a lot of shows coming over, and we appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know for helping us grow this thing. Love reading the comments over here. Kelly was wanting to know where Mike was at in the Rumble chat, and Dan Dreyer said Michael is over in Romania slaying vampires, which is absolutely true.
No, Michael was deported. The
Yeah.
ICE came after me. I identified as him. He was forced to identify as me, so they deported him.
That's what it was. And then I want to give a shout out to Obliviously over here in the Getter chat and Dazelle over here in the Getter chat. We appreciate you guys. I'm seeing a lot of new names in the chats today too. And guys, this show we're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time here on X America News, and we really appreciate you guys. And then we got Lucinda over here as well, and says until the CCP is exposed, nothing changes, or as Israel's henchman, nothing changes. And then we got Stacy over here as well. Stacy says, good morning, guys. It's great to see Annie Cyrus on the show. Many blessings and thanks to her for all she does. So we appreciate you guys. And as always, we read all the comments. We do our best to include you guys as part of the show as much as possible. And with that, we'll get on and rock on to the next story.
Yep, talking about CCP. I don't know how they knew we're going to go there. There you go. So now there are details, and this is Breitbart, as you can see the logo. There are details, Derek, that few blocks away from the governor of Minnesota's mansion, there's actually a brick house that is a headquarters for CCP operators in America. Huh. And then there's evidence that that very group in that brick house, the article literally refers to it as brick house, did a fundraising for Tampon Tim. Huh. Who would have thought?
What a coincidence, right? What a coincidence here that this has happened. First of all, I just can't believe how much we've allowed the CCP to infiltrate our country without firing a shot, if you will. I mean, honestly, people need to wake up and look around. We are currently, I would say being conquered slowly but surely if we don't do something about this. That's what they are attempting to do. They own hundreds of thousands. They don't own hundreds of acres. They own hundreds of thousands of acres in America. I can't even believe that we have been having this conversation, that we're allowing this to take place. They should not be allowed. No foreign country, not just China, no foreign country should be allowed to own a single grain of American sand. And I am so beyond frustrated with all that. Once again, are the Republicans in Congress who are in control right now going to do something about this? Probably not, because the CCP is probably funding a lot of them the same way that they were funding Tim Walz and Tim Walz's campaign. And it's funny watching Tim Walz right now trying to run a shadow campaign for president, if you will, going on a little tour, going around and everything. And so it's important to continue exposing him for his ties to the CCP.
Yes, agreed. And I know we have a couple of more stories to touch on, but I'm going to just add this. I would probably be somewhat shocked if this was not Minnesota, if this was not about Tim Walz. But unfortunately, Derek, it has become so normal for me to watch these Democrats have ties to the enemies of America that if it wasn't him, I would be like, oh, really? And it's sad to say this, but that's why I'm hoping and I'm praying that one by one they're all going to disappear from their own party, because for so long we have watched, we being the American people, or we the journalists who have investigated, we have witnessed these people getting money from the enemies of United States of America, turning around and pretending like they want to make a difference. And can you imagine, Derek, for 1 second, God forbid, if the election results were reversed and this guy was our VP? Can you imagine that for a second?
No, it's scary to think about it. And I did pull something up because I knew this. I couldn't remember exact details. So the Daily Mail had actually came out back in October and claims that Tim Walz had a secret fling with the daughter of a Chinese Communist Party official back in 1989. And now when you tie that in with the story that you just brought up here today of, all of this going on, it makes it way more believable that has been happening. And let me just ask you guys, not just Annie, but the audience here. I mean, I know we're winding down, but like, if there was any other group in this country who had all these ties and being funded by enemies of America, we would label that group as a domestic terrorist organization. Period. They would be. I mean, there's no way around that. So at this point, and I know we've said this in jest a few times, I'm being 100% serious right now. I believe there's a strong argument to be made that the DNC is a domestic terrorist organization at this point. They are in line and being funded by and in cahoots with so many known and proven enemies of the United States of America. If any other group was doing this, they would be labeled a domestic terrorist organization. And I think it's time to have a serious conversation about labeling the Democrat Party as a domestic terrorist organization.
Yeah, here's a proof of what you're saying. This one is from jihadwatch.org. If you read the article, apparently one of the hostages that was released put in testimony into the October 7th lawsuit that his captive, the Hamas kidnapper, showed them pictures of pro-Palestinian protesters in our university saying, these are our active agents. We have you. And Democrats are doing what? Funding their protest, putting bail for them to be released, fighting to keep them in the country. There you have it. Proof is, again, in the pudding, right?
It is. And it's funny to me that they don't care. It's not like they're only tied in with the CCP or they're only tied in with Hamas. Any group that hates America, the Democrats are defending them. And I'm not talking about just like elected Democrats or random, white liberals out there who are registered Democrats. I'm talking about the organization itself, them as a group. They are defending all of this. And I'm serious. I think that they're a domestic terrorist organization at this point. I really do. And I think that it's time to have that conversation and to expose them as such. And, maybe the way to do that would be to start having conversations. And I might even do this myself. And maybe they should present this to the American people as look, we found this group that is doing this, and this, and this. Don't say the group's name. Should this group be labeled as a domestic terrorist organization? They're all going to say yes. And then you tell them, oh, well, we're talking about the Democrat Party. Because if you come in out of the beginning, they know that they're going to, stick their fingers in the ear and not listen. But if it's kind of like those interviews on the street where they read these racist quotes by Joe Biden, they don't tell them who it is, and they're like, oh yeah, that's racist, and then you tell them it's Joe Biden, and they're like, oh my gosh, what? And so I think that maybe is the way to approach it. But I really do think it's time to have that conversation.
Yes, and since I'm sure your audience was expecting this, we're going to hit two more stories on Islam-related terrorist groups, one actively right here in America, supported by DNC and Democrats. CARE, the Council for American Islamic Relations, they just released their 2025 priorities, Derrick. There are 4 of them. I can't get behind any of them, but number 4 is the best. Their priority is to remove the watch list altogether. No more watch lists.
Well, I know we're almost out of time, so I'll just be brief. The CARE is an unindicted co-conspirator of 9/11, and now that should tell you all you want to know as well. They are definitely a domestic terrorist organization who is once again being protected by the Democrats, who are also a domestic terrorist organization.
Yeah, and their number 3 is defending free speech on Palestine. If you click on that, if you read it, they want to have free speech for the very students that on the last story we mentioned that Hamas has admitted to be their active agents. CARE is trying to get free speech for them. Like, that's the thing. It's so easy to connect all these dots and come to realize, again, as you said, Derrick, and I know we're almost out of time, but DNC or Democrats, Kamala Harris is the number 1 supporter of these protesters. And she almost became Madam President. Just the thought of it is terrifying. But let's go over one last story because as heartbreaking as it is, I'm very happy and proud to report this. For anyone who's not familiar with the case, former FBI agent Robert Levinson was kidnapped in Iran on, I believe, 2007 or 2008. It's right there. I can look at it. Yes, March 9, 2007. He was kidnapped in Iran. And after all these years, finally, there is a new sanction placed on 3 Iranian officials from the Intelligence Office of Islamic Republic of Iran who were involved with his kidnapping, his torture, and possibly his death. So I think this is, I know this doesn't bring him back, nor does it give any peace to his family, who had to know he's being tortured in hands of barbaric Islamic regime of Iran for nothing, by the ways. He wasn't there spying. He was on a personal vacation. So, but I think it's great to know that there are more pressures and there are more transparency when it comes to what Iran has done to us Americans in the last 47 years. Your final thoughts on that, Derrick?
No, I would agree. I'm happy to see that there's going to be, some justice here, or hopefully, and that there's actually going to be some investigations into all this, as there should have been, quite frankly, a long time ago. And as you said, it's not going to bring him back. It's not going to take away the pain of the family, but they can at least know that they now have an American president who cares enough about the sacrifice that this gentleman had made and what he went through, that they're going to actually go and try to get some accountability and some justice for him and their family. So that's the big thing right now. And I'm once again, all we needed was a new president.
Yes, the right new president. Because we could have any other new president, but if they weren't the right person, we would just struggle more. Well, thank you, Derrick, for allowing me to ride shotgun with you today. I hope I was able to carry the show with you. Not as good as Michael, but somewhat close to Michael's abilities.
No, you did awesome, Annie. And to our audience, thank you guys. We really appreciate you. If you guys are new to the show, like I said, like, share, subscribe. We're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time here. Coming up next, we got the Will Johnson Show on Ex American News. If you guys haven't watched that, it's an awesome show. He does an amazing job. You should definitely tune into that as well. We got an awesome lineup. Basically live all day long of similar shows to this, covering different things. And so don't just watch our show. Check out some others. You might like some of them better. I don't know. That's fine too.
You're gonna like my best.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, appreciate you guys. Like, share, subscribe, all those good things. We'll see you guys again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Have a good day. See you tomorrow.